Hello everyone, welcome back to Talking Reds. And wow, we have some news for you in terms of, I'm going to say today's, but when it comes out, when this recording comes out, it is yesterday's news. And that is Mohamed Salah coming out with the video that has got the fan base sparked, and it's really exposing the ambitions, I think. It's absolutely exposing the ambitions of this board, the ambitions of the club, and it's dividing the fan base again. But I think a lot of people are seeing it now. A lot of people are turning on this board and turning on this ownership where there's no excuses anymore now with Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah has come out and said that it's almost December and he's yet to receive an offer from the club. So he's basically said, I'm more out than in right now. That is absolutely damning, Willow. Absolutely damning. I don't know about you, but it's absolutely damning on the club. It shouldn't have to take this point to players coming out. Virgil van Dijk was behind him at one point and he made faces as well. So you can tell that he's sort of thinking the same thing. He's probably not been offered a contract as well. Right, I feel like I'm going to explode because this has been years and years of people saying, "Oh, you just want transfers, you just want this, you just want that." Hang on a second. Let's put one thing absolutely straight here. Absolutely straight. You can be a fan of this team and this manager, but you can still criticise the club. Criticising FSG is nothing to do with being a fan of the team or the club. It doesn't make you more or less of a fan. It doesn't. You don't have to be said, "Have you ever been to Anfield?" Because I have been to Anfield a few times. But my point is being here. Those that put others down for being a fan just because you criticise FSG, I'd look at yourselves first in the mirror. Because right now, us wanting Salah to sign, no matter what, us wanting Van Dijk to sign, us wanting Trent Alexander-Arnold to sign, is more for Liverpool than it is FSG. And if you're not wanting that, then you're more FSG than Liverpool. So hold the mirror up and see in the face. Willem, what's your first initial reaction to that video that Salah came out? You can see the disappointment on his face, and you can see it means a lot to him staying here.
I pulled the same face for the first minute of reading it, of kind of seeing this morning the video, going, how on earth have the club not even offered him, at least made an official offer to kind of keep him on or anything? And then it just kind of, as throughout the next few minutes kind of went on from it, it just kind of came into a bigger rage for me. I just, for the life of me, I don't understand. If anything as well is being shown over this season and throughout this whole thing, especially him and Verge, we need to get those deals done. It doesn't matter. And the fact that we are all desperate to keep him, the whole fan base is, and to be fair, Salah knows we are. That's why he's coming out, and that's why he's publicly making these comments, because he knows he'll get the backing from the whole fan base. So I nearly said backing for the whole band base there. Like, at least, he knows he will get the backing from the fans because we adore him and we want him to stay. And just, he's not showing any signs of slowing down as well. The fact that he's actually showing that he's adapting his game, because he knows himself as a player. He's probably lost a yard of pace compared to what he used to be able to do 2 years ago. And what's he done ever since? We've seen him actually create even a bigger output in assists, do different kind of passes, kind of adjust his position on the wing sometimes as well, in the way to kind of bring his other teammates into these situations. Just talking about him as a player, like, how are you coming through with an idea of replacing him, because there is no replacement, and the only replacement that is available is a 17-year-old at Barcelona who would cost £400 million at this rate, and he's not even leaving anyway. So, and it just doesn't make any sense. I don't get, from the club's perspective, like, taken out aside from the fact that we had the unexpected announcement from Klopp at the beginning of the year, obviously causing some shuffles to happen. There is zero excuse to be 5 days away from December and still be in a position where nothing's been sorted on the Trent contract, nothing's been sorted on the Virgil contract, and now our attacking superstar needs to come out in public and basically beg for an offer to be made for this to actually go on. And we all know the reason why it is. It's the same reason we always hear. It's about making sure that the finances and the resources that we have are kind of designated adequately, which to me is absolute rubbish, because when you have best players in the world around in you there, you pay the best players what they at least deserve. And I would say, I think any fan would probably agree that to the minimal point, Salah at least would deserve an extension on the similar terms that he's on now.
If it is about money, William, let's go on the money side of things here. Because this is the excuse that FSG lovers put up. Like, we're saving this amount of money. Imagine what we could save of this. Who gives a shit for number one? Why do you give a shit about saving money more than fucking the player staying, like Salah, for number one? Number two, where's all the money gone we've been saving over the last few years? Where's the Caicedo money disappeared to? Where's the money that we didn't spend in the summer? Where's the Adidas deal money? Where's all these new sponsorship deals money? Where's these record-breaking like TV records we get and things like that every single year? Where's all this money going? So it's alright saying saving money. We've fucking got the money. It's some people are not letting the money go onto the players and onto the squad.
I mean, I 100% agree on it. I mean, you can see it from the couple of sagas we just had in the past few summers, with even Zubimendi this past summer going on, where all of a sudden it gets reported that we're going to go in there to break his release clause, and then that point of breaking the release clause takes really, really, really long, and all of a sudden 9 to 10 days later, Zubimendi changed his mind and stayed. We obviously had the Caicedo saga last year and the Lavia saga where we were in as well. Where with Lavia, we were just being too stubborn to pay. Essentially with Lavia, we were being stubborn over 4 million quid. That's what it kind of came down to. Now, obviously, Lavia got injured last year, so you could almost maybe look at it as a sense of like, well, okay, he got injured, we kind of got away with it and stuff and everything. But the Caicedo one, I mean, why on earth would we go and put a not world record breaking, but a Premier League record breaking transfer bid in for a midfielder of the qualities of Caicedo, and then not put the groundwork in for a player like that when we've clearly been looking for a DM since 2022, since we missed out on Tchouameni. It just baffles me. And then in those moments, we have all the money in the world, but then all that money that we never spent doesn't come back. So something doesn't fully make sense into it as well. And then normally the other excuse we get to hear now as well is, it's gone down to the wage bill. Okay, but last year we got Thiago and Matip leaving on a free coming off the wage bill. The year before we had Milner, Firmino, Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain, 4 players coming off it for free on the wage bill.
Henderson, Fab, yeah.
Henderson, Fabinho obviously also came onto it. And now, yes, there were, in the end, 4 players who came in and took in that money. But still, the numbers and the salary-wise, because they either all had around the same salary or even lesser salary than some of these players that we're mentioning, all of a sudden the money isn't there and it needs to be allocated smartly. Then again, I think when it comes down to the Salah part and all and everything, I think most of us are smart enough to go, we're not giving him a 5-year deal on 500k a week. But
yeah.
A 2-3 year deal in around similar terms, maybe, and I'd even be okay with that. Maybe even bumping up the base pay to 400k a week instead of 350k. Salah's pretty much the only player that I'd be okay with doing that for, because he's just been so consistent and he's proven it over the years that it's gone in there. And I just don't understand it for the life of me. I had the other argument as well that they want to get the Virgil and Trent deals done earlier because Salah's the highest earner. So if they get Salah done first, then the other 2 will be looking at the other wages. Well, doesn't it come down to how important are they for us? How badly do we want them? We still know all 3 of those players that are coming down to a contract now are still 3 of the best players in those positions, and they're either the number 1 best or they're one of the best in the world being in there. I would say right back with Trent is a one of the best, and the right winger and centre back is no doubt that Van Dijk and Salah are still absolutely the 2 best in the world.
Yeah.
So
what's reoccurring though, mate? What's reoccurring? What you've just said there, basically, you've gone over excuses. Excuses constantly. That's why I made the video the other day. It's the same excuses. The same excuses are coming out again now. We don't want a DM now. We don't want a DM because Government is playing well there. Even though Government is not a DM, he's doing well. They get again. It was exactly the same as McAllister last year. He played well in a DM a few games, and everyone was like, yeah, we don't need a DM. But by summer came round, everyone was like, we need a DM. And then by the end of summer, everyone was happy not to get a DM. It's the same thing over and over and over again. It's all down to money and cutting costs. It is all cutting corners and cutting costs. Luckily for FSG, they're so lucky with this. They're lucky Gravenberch has fucking changed his game and become an absolute elite player in that position. They're so lucky that that's happened. But it shouldn't have to happen. Just the same way Salah shouldn't have to come out. Van Dijk shouldn't have to come out and beg for players. Salah shouldn't have to come out and say, "Look, I ain't been offered a new contract yet. It's nearly December. And I want, basically want this contract, but no one's even offering me out." This shouldn't have to happen. And I don't want to get to the point where Salah, there's a possibility that all three leave, if I'm honest. That's a possibility. It's looking likely right now, more so than unlikely. Now, I don't want to have to get to that point for us to push against the owners. This pushing against the owners should have been last year, the year before, because you made a good point about the too many thing. We needed a DM back then. And it's been a few years now since we've not gone out and got a DM. The Caicedo thing was an absolute shit show of a joke. It's embarrassing just to do that when Chelsea done all the groundwork. Absolutely embarrassing. I think that was the biggest PR bullshit, that bid I've ever seen. They knew for a fact he wasn't joining us because Chelsea done the groundwork. And they put it out there to say, "Look, we do back you. We do back." Bullshit. Bullshit. Do they back Klopp? Bullshit. Do they back Slot?
For me, that was more the what for me was the telling point. There was when they actually visited us or came back down to London to come and visit the Chelsea opening game against Chelsea, and then complain to the Prem about Chelsea instead of getting the deal.
We thought they were coming over to sort of help the deal get along and say, "Look, right, we're serious here. We want this guy's head, lad." In the end, they came over to complain about Chelsea. I said that, funnily enough, I did a tweet about that earlier. Someone saying, "No, I think it like Werner or something was in the crowd at the Southampton game." I said, "Well, it's probably come over to complain about Caicedo deal to Chelsea." That's all they come over for. Is benefits them financially, or piss someone else off, or put someone else in the ground at that point. And for me, this stinginess and this ambition is not. Yeah, but the excuses I get from FSG fans, I get it all the time. I've got it the other day, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. You actually listen to the same conversation every single year. And I tell you every single year, no one wants £600 million players. No one wants a £6 million £100 budget. No one's asked for that. Absolutely zero, no one. What we want is our ambition as a Liverpool Football Club to be upheld. Because we should have the biggest ambition in the world. We should be alongside like Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Man United in terms of ambition. And it's not doing that. I'm not just talking about just transfers. I'm talking about keeping players like Salah, keeping players like Van Dijk, and doing everything we can to keep them.
But I mean, I think it's what we said quite a while ago already. It's like we're not asking for an £80 million midfielder and a £65 million striker coming in. No, it's just a little extra bit. Like for example, for this upcoming January, we've got, in my opinion, we've got a bit of a predicament at left back as well coming in.
Yep.
Now, for me, a left back in general shouldn't even be costing more than £20 or £25 million for the position that it is in general. Like, of course, the attacking fullback is much more of a modern position now. It comes in and they do more than they did back in the day. But it's still relative to the market term. Why, for example, with a declining Robertson that we've got at the moment and Tsimikas, throughout his whole career, if we're being honest, has been a very hot and cold kind of left back. He can drop some absolute stinkers and he can actually be really solid. For example, for me, I'd like to see us maybe just get that left back, just to kind of just have that little bit of extra stability in that position coming in, and choose not to play Robbo in some games, or at least kind of slowly integrate a new starting left back.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about 50, £100 million, this many wages a week. Absolutely not. There's loads of, and that for example is something that often I have said. I have been very I have given FSG a lot of praise in that sense, where I've gone their manner of scouting and finding a bargain deal, especially for the kind of positions that we need to get in. For an example like that, it's actually quite perfect. If they can find a player who on the data does exactly what we want from a left back, and they'll find him, and it will probably cost between £12 to £15 million, what we kind of paid for Chiesa last kind of summer. Then that's a signing that, and likely because of how good the scouting is, it will be a really good signing. So but then when we kind of get into it now for this season, where we're potentially actually pushing for a league and have a really good chance to go onto it, then why can't we get that little extra bit in January? I mean, it was last January, I think, when we had it, when we were going, why can't we just have that little bit extra?
That DM, so McAllister got to go forward.
Yeah, that was it. And then I think we had the exact same debate about it, and it is. again, it's just that little bit. It's not give me this. I want to sign this guy. We should be signing this guy. Blah blah. Like it's not literal FIFA of going. Okay, I've just got a transfer inflation from the AI, and they've just given me a budget of 300 million, and I can go crazy. No, it's not that way. But it's just that little extra bit, and then and obviously that is worded more in the sense of an ambition. But I'd almost see it something that they like to use a lot in their language. It's the opportunity. It's the opportunity to go and actually continue and set that pace for to go win the league. So that opportunity to just get that extra addition or just do that extra little bit of work. And okay, maybe like now with contract talks, for example, we on the club, like if we look at it from a basis of, okay, the club really don't want to kind of go over this 350k a week threshold. Okay, well, compromise a little bit. See if Salah's coming down to 375k. Okay, it's still 25k increase, but it's not the biggest, massive of increases, at least for a superstar player. It's obviously still 25k a week. Like any of us would be going mental for that. But
so funny, mate. So funny though. You talk about that about the wage, but it's not that much, right? And you say, "Oh wow, we'll go out there. Salah goes. We'll go out and get a replacement." We ain't going to pay for a replacement. they ain't going to pay for a replacement. So that
apart from paying for the replacement, who's going to replace him? There is no replacement for him.
Yeah.
There just isn't. It doesn't matter who you get it from. Even if there's some guy in the Danish Bundesliga or whatever it's called, and is scoring 60 goals in a season, you still won't replace Salah once he comes over to the Premier League, no matter how much data says it.
No. And Salah should be replaced. These players that are going now should be replaced gradually. We've been saying it for years. Fabinho left straight like that, and McAllister left, not McAllister, Edison left straight like that, and Firmino left like that. And it's when you replace them man for man quite quickly, it's difficult. But theirs were quite easier than what these will be, though, because Van Dijk and Salah are the best in the world, and two of the best players that's ever played in Premier League. So to replace these, it's been all right to replace Fabinho. We're still not replacing Fabinho really in terms of the DM, but the midfield's doing okay. And Firmino, the strike's doing all right at times if Jota's fit, that is. But replacing Salah and replacing Van Dijk, this should have been done on a 2-3 year stretch, like other teams do, like Man City did with Fernandinho. Mm-hmm. They brought Rodri in, they didn't put him straight into the team. They eased Fernandinho out. Now Rodri's the best DM in the world.
And Rodri looked really poor in his first season as well. By taking on that understudy role, he got to learn the ropes from Fernandinho.
And that's the perfect way to do it. This is what we should have been doing with Salah. This is what we should have been doing with Van Dijk. This is why we need the extra player a season in case the worst is to happen. Because there's someone like Salah that gets injured now. We ain't got anyone at right wing. We've got Chiesa. No one knows where Chiesa is. And I think that was a very good signing, by the way, Chiesa. And this is the worst thing about it all. We actually make good signings. When Edwards and Hughes or whatever, Edwards especially, gets a bit of money behind him, he makes good signings. Look what he did with Coutinho money. But you shouldn't have to rely on selling a player to have that sort of money. We should have 140, 150 million without even selling anyone in a transfer window. I'm not saying we need that, but we should have it available. The money this club makes is unbelievable. We don't see fuck all of it. That's the problem. And yes, we are top of the league, and this is what gets me even more. We say this when we're fourth. We say this when we're sixth. And we say this when we're top. And people say, well, we're top, just enjoy it. But we are enjoying it. This is not the point. You're not getting the point. We are enjoying what's happening. But we also enjoyed it last season when we were top. But we fell off because we warned that fall off was going to happen. We warned you that was going to happen.
No, but it's the same I was telling my friends this morning. I woke up. I went to bed yesterday. I was the happiest guy in the world. We got managed. The game wasn't that great, but we managed to get the result that we wanted against Southampton. That was it. That was all I asked for. Just get the win. I don't care how. Woke up this morning, went brilliant, top of the league, 8 points clear. It's amazing. That's really good. And then I saw the Salah video, and that's when my whole mood changed again. And I've been quite consistent in this. It's like, even when it's good on the pitch, we have to be real with stuff.
We've got to, we do, yeah. That's it, yeah.
And that's just more it. And I think, obviously, I think as well, there are a lot of things where, with the hindsight of history, FSG not kind of, or the club or FSG, whoever you want to put in the position. At this point, I'm kind of annoyed with all of them, to be honest. Like, you know, in hindsight, a few of these decisions, not paying that extra $4 million for Lavia, who then gets injured for the whole season. Chelsea as a whole, obviously, last season did not look that great. Caicedo, I think, throughout the season got better. But if you would base it throughout the whole of the season last season, you look at it and you go, well, that 115 million spent on Caicedo has not been a good deal. Endo was really good last season, but the problem is with Endo, he's 32. So Endo, we know that Endo was a cheaper. Well, I mean, look, he's a good, decent, cheap stopgap to have in between it. And even, to be fair, even yesterday when he came on, he was pretty solid. He was chasing after the ball, making sure that nothing was coming in. Him and Maka in that corner, literally, it was so funny seeing two guys who were 5'8" and 5'9" going up against these like 6'2", 6'3" monsters. They just literally, they just completely held their own, just made sure that they weren't getting pushed about, nothing. Like, you know, and I do love that from them at some point. But I'm 100% more sure that we will get a similar Salah next season to what we get this season than when we get an Endo in that case. But that's because Mo Salah is world class. There's a difference between it. It's also this whole thing of like, oh well, you know, they were really hesitating on giving Mo his last contract already from his last extension. That's just so silly because obviously Edwards looked at a Henderson deal when there's no way we're extending that, which was a right decision by Edwards to do at the time, but Klopp overruled it. But then coming back to the other part where he treats Salah as if it's in the same range because it's a similar age bracket. Well, that's
different levels of player. Different levels.
That's mental. Player. You can't compare that. That's just not. It's just not okay.
Henderson relied on his legs as well. Salah doesn't.
Yeah. No, but it's just mental in so many aspects. It's like, what are you? My question then becomes: are you doing everything so solely focused on data that you're not even using your eyes anymore to look on the pitch? That's almost what I get from it. Where I'm like, oh yeah, no, well. If we look at the data, technically, Lewis Dunk is a better centre back statistically than Virgil van Dijk. Oh well, he's not, by the way. But I'm just naming a random example, kind of to base it off. Where it would be like, you know, it almost feels like it's such a data blind approach that the one part and to be fair, it's a whole modern football division now where either someone is completely eye test oriented or completely stat oriented. Whereas the reality is, it's always somewhere in between in the middle. It's a bit of both. Like, you know, stats support what you see on the pitch.
Yeah.
And it just feels like in these kind of moments where I'm like, are you even seeing what's happening on the pitch? Because yesterday as well, Mo Salah was not good for the first 60 minutes of yesterday's game.
No.
But the last half hour, he could have had 4 goals. He scored 2 at least. And then, of course, he missed the other 2, but he already scored 2 by then, so it doesn't matter. Because we were already 3-2, winning 3-2 at that point. And without him, we don't win that game. Because Nunes was invisible. And Diaz was being sloppy kind of when he came on. Gakpo wasn't, like, you know, Gakpo was good when he was on, but Gakpo wasn't also really creating anything.
Yeah, he wasn't really Gakpo, was he? Yeah. He was cutting his head a lot again.
Yeah, literally. I mean, that is my one critique with Gakpo a little bit. He is a bit more predictable as a winger than Diaz. But still, technically, he's a very good winger again. So, like, you know, I think left wing's the least of our issues at the moment. But yeah, like, I think it just shows the importance of it. And it's the same with Van Dijk. If we'll see, I'm pretty sure one of these upcoming games, where maybe it'll be the League Cup quarterfinal, there is going to be a game where Virgil's going to get rest. Because even Slot at age 32, 33, he's going to be like, no, I can't play. As much as I want to play Virg every game, I literally cannot play him every game now anymore. Because even Koeman sending Virgil home going, look, he plays every game. He needs a rest. And like, for Koeman to do that, that's mental. Like, you know, and it's just these kind of things where it's just like, okay, but when we have that game without Van Dijk, we're going to see, and even though Konate has been immense this year, we're going to see how much of an impact it has when he's not on there. At the end of the day, for our attack, yes, last season when he was AFCON and when we had the injury after when he came back from AFCON, we actually had a pretty decent attacking spell. But then it became a case of fluidity kind of lost. We ran out of steam. I'd even go as far, and it's not a very popular thing to say, but I'd even go as far as questionable setup and tactics from Klopp in the last 2-3 months, to be honest. And I love Jurgen, but let's be real. But like, you know, and then if you look at that, that was more the lead to the drop off, and a lot of people will take it. Well, oh, he was out injured for a month and a half, 2 months last year, and we were absolutely fine under it. So and it's almost like saying Barcelona with Messi would have been better if they just had Suarez and Neymar. It just doesn't make sense at the end of the day. It's just not true. And maybe I'm clutching at straws and just maybe rambling on for a bit, but
you're right though. One thing I do want to address though before we do go is the FSG mouthpieces, and I've seen also Barn and Red Sajjad I've seen him on Twitter today replying to Dominic King's article, and he wasn't happy about it. I just reached out to him and I said, "Look, you're absolutely spot on. He's a mouthpiece, an FSG mouthpiece, and these fucking journalists can shut the fuck up about this shit because I'm sick of this protection of FSG now. Absolutely sick of it." I don't know if Dominic King's a fan of Liverpool or not. I don't know who he supports, but I know a lot of these people these fan channels are these journalists are fans of Liverpool, and they'd rather put their credentials first than support of Liverpool. Fair enough, you've got mouths to feed. I've said this before. You've got mouths to feed. You've got a family to feed. Then it's your job. Then fair enough. But at what point is it time to turn? At what point is it time to stop lying to yourselves and start admitting that maybe, hang on a second, we shouldn't be protecting them at this point? Because I don't want to hear these fans that have protected this ownership for so long. I don't want to hear them crying if Salah goes or Van Dijk goes or Trent goes. I don't want to hear protests. I don't want to hear protests from them. I don't want to hear, let's put pressure on ownership. Pressure on ownership should have happened ages ago. We've warned you about this. We've told you about this. You've accepted this way of working. You've accepted this way of the standards and the what the word I used earlier. You've accepted just this way of working and their operations and the way they operate. So don't be surprised what's happening right now because you've accepted that.
That is true, but I'd also say to a point where it's like I think as well we gotta as a fan base also prioritize that we're not constantly dividing the fan base over the ownership, and more also see it as a way of look, there's a big part of us who have felt this way about the ownership a long time, who have in our own ways have seen a lot of this coming. If it inevitably does happen at that point, it doesn't I understand what you mean because it feels like
I think it's just because of the years of abuse and
of course.
Certain fans I'll have to have the conversation with and stuff like that, but there's certain fans that have gone too far. Does that make sense? You know what I'm on about.
No, it feels like you've been talking to a wall for 4 years, pretty much in that sense, or 5 years, or however long it's been now. And I get that sentiment, but what I mean more as well in general is that if you look at the clubs who are kind of most falling apart right now, Man United, for example. What is also one of their biggest issues in their fan base? Their fan base is completely divided. Completely divided throughout the whole thing. And it's because one side is also constantly saying to the other, oh, you see, I was right. And of course, look, okay, maybe you were, but that is also going to make the other part of the fan base go, oh, yeah, but you're just being a prick because you're just saying you're right the entire time.
I'm happy to come together to push on. If we want to get FSG out, let's do it together. But I don't want to hear I think it's just certain individual fans that I've had to deal with. I think that's what it is, more so than a whole group of people. But I don't like this. I don't like this protection.
No, and I get that. And once it gets to that point where it's more of a breaking point, I think that's when it becomes more of a thing of maybe you can at least have the conversation of giving everyone kind of a second chance to kind of rediscuss those things.
Yeah.
But you can also often see in the attitude that both people will take in that conversation whether they're really willing to come together for it or not. So I think that'll be something that comes itself by the time it does get to that point. If it does, we don't know obviously yet.
With whatever happens in the next few months, with leaving it late is just absolute neglect at this point anyway. And I think that it shouldn't get to the point where we do lose them. Yeah. The pressure should be on ownership now. Mohamed Salah is just what an absolute revelation he's been for Liverpool, and the way we're treating this guy right now is the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen in terms of treating a player like this, where he's coming out and begging basically for a contract. Shouldn't have to happen. Everyone, if you do like this kind of content, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, notification bells on, so we're going to do more videos every single day, daily content out every single day, at least 2-3 videos out every single day if you can. Subscribe to the channel and come on this journey with us as well, Talking Heads, where we say it how it is on here. There's no beating around the bush on this channel. Thank you everyone for watching, and let's hope Mo Salah does sign in the end.